And so that is the most credible witness in a court of law, is somebody who has firsthand experiential knowledge. So this isn't appealing to a higher authority of the scriptures, because a lot of people that you're going to be talking to aren't going to believe the Bible. But you know what? If you're a trustworthy person and you have that ring of truth about you, and you can say, look, man, I've done that, been there, could have been there, bought the T-shirt, went home and, bought the T-shirt, walked home in it and threw up in it. That's kind of where I was. I've been there, done that. But Jesus made the difference. He's come in and, because I was very skeptical, he was the one who brought God into my life. And there's no one like him. So one of the things I want to show you how to do that's going to help you with this is the opening and closing. So I kind of modeled this a little bit, but a lot of times you'll have people who you're getting to know and talking, and one thing that was hindering me is, like, when I first learned this, it was like a performance thing. I was just trying, it was my duty to go and tell everybody. So, I was just having a conversation, waiting just to sort of spill my guts on people. And so as soon as I had an opportunity, it was kind of like, oh, let me tell you, and then about, 2 minutes into it, they're like, okay, they're waiting for me to get done. And then then you kind of have this feeling. And I just say, look, that's not what this is about. It's really not. One of the things that I've found that can help is that when is finding out about people, being curious and interested in their life. And when you find a way that what God's done in your life intersects with them, here's the difference that a testimony makes. A lot of times we always feel like we take the approach of correcting people. The church oftentimes is correcting people. And so how many of you just like to be told you don't think the right thing or believe the right thing, or that you're wrong? But see, what a testimony does is it doesn't do that. It actually says, you know what? I'm so glad that we're talking, because I've used to feel exactly the same way, but I found something that makes a huge difference in my life. Can I share that with you? So you start with them. So instead of like this, you actually say, hey, I've been right where you're at. I'm going to come back in my story, and I'm going to get right alongside of you and tell you that part of me, right? Man, I was going to church, and it was just so dead. I was like, man, where's God in all this? Stand up, sit down, light a candle, turn around, put your money in a plate. What is this? I mean, come on, the God, the creator of the universe, the one who made the stars and the skies and the seas and kangaroos and alligators, I mean, he's all into to me coming in and lighting candles? Come on. So I dropped it. That's going to help somebody who's done with church, right? And so I'm right with them. They know I'm not trying to get them back into church. I'm trying to help them, so I could just say, well, God says, do not forsake the assembly, try that, So a testimony is really good to help build that connection, and then walk them with you. See, you've come to their point on the road, and now you're walking them down your journey. But because you started taking them with you, they can actually come through the same realizations. Hey, it was the religious people that killed Jesus, but God is so real. He's so loving. He's so kind. He put himself in a body because he's not about this religious stuff. He's not about condemning people. He's hanging on the cross saying, Father, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. And I was like, man, that's me. I don't know what I'm doing. But I sure want God. But I need a God who's real. I don't need a God. I don't need a religion. I need a God who's real. You know what? 3 days later, he rose from the dead. That's real. That's how real he is. And when I put my faith in him, he came into my life and he changed me. He made me so new on the inside, I can't explain it. I'm a new person. And that's what he said he would do. And that's amazing because he does it. He'll do that for you too. That's the kind of thing that we've got to be able to do with people. So one of the things that I found is that when you identify with people, is just sharing with them a little opener. Hey, I can totally relate to you, but I found something that's made such a huge difference in my life. Can I share it with you? Right? Man, I can totally relate with you. but I found something that makes such a huge difference in my life. Can I share that with you? You've asked them permission, right? So you're not shoving something down their throat, and they totally can't accuse you of that. So that's the way to open up for a testimony. A way. There's probably a cajillion ways, but that's a simple way. Man, I can totally relate with you, but I found something that's made such a huge difference in my life. Can I share it with you? It's there on your little notes. It's one of those little skills that you learn that helps unleash opportunities for this. The other thing is that when you're done with a testimony, how many of you like just to hear people go on and on and on about themselves? So be careful. Keep your testimony short. It's not about you. It's about them and the difference that Jesus makes in your life, but you're wanting them to get a picture of this. So everybody talks about stories, about things that are real to them, but you do it in a way that's respectful, that takes an interest in others. And so you're sharing this because you believe it's relevant to them. And because Jesus, and so you ask them, you close, do you know how Jesus can do the same thing for you? Now, that's a strategic question. You know why? Because the question is not, do you believe Jesus can do the same thing for you? That then puts it right back into an intellectual debate. Stay out of there. Do you know how Jesus can do the same thing in your life? Now do you know how? See, and so if they don't, now you can explain the gospel. Now you can go into more in depth with them. It's simply this. You need to be willing to turn away from your old life and go in your own way, and you put your trust completely in Jesus. You bow the knee because He's Lord, and you trust Him to save you. And that's why we get baptized, because we start with a whole self in thing. We put our old self in the water, and we come up brand new. We're baptized into a whole new name, a whole new creation. Calling on the name of the Lord. So would you like to do that? Great. Go fill up the bathtub, guy. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's get this thing started. What I want you to do is practice opening and closing. All right? So opening, man, I can totally relate to you, but I found something that's made such a huge difference in my life. Can I share that with you? Blah, 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 blah. Do you know how Jesus can do the same thing for you? Can you practice that a few times? Go ahead and get with your partner. Practice it a few times, just so you get used to doing that, okay?